Greetings, fellow moviegoers, and welcome back to Movie Central, the place to talk about movies, TV shows based on movies, toys based on movies, games based on movies, and rides based on movies. I'm your host, Mr. CCS, and these are my pets, George the Gorilla, Kala the Dolphin, and Frank the Sea Turtle. You're all probably wondering where the hell I've been. In fact, I'm wondering the same thing. However, I decided that because I've been MIA for some time, I'm going to massively cut down on the reviews for this season. So, very briefly, before I discuss what I'm actually reviewing today, I'm going to show you every movie I was originally going to talk about and why I chose not to. So, from movies I gave no craps about to stuff I was actually looking forward to talking about, here's everything I was originally going to review but chose not to because I'm lazy, overworked, and tired. Enjoy. The rest of the Uwe Boll films. I know they're pretty terrible based on House of the Dead, so I had no desire to watch any of the other ones. Sorry for my declaration of war because I'm no longer tackling any of those films. Max Payne. I know next to nothing about these games, but I've heard it's a noir detective-style trilogy, which sounds super interesting, so I intend to, but since I don't know too much yet, I'm just not going to bother with that at the moment. Tekken. Same thing in regards to this series of games. I just know it's a fighting game, and it recently had some Smash Bros. Representation, so that's the only reason I'm putting it above the first two. Need for Speed. It's a race car drama, and I already have race car movies in the form of the Fast and Furious films, which I love, so there's no need for this. Although Aaron Paul was in it, so maybe I'll check it out in the future, I don't know. Doom. It's an action movie based on one of the most popular first-person shooter games that I didn't want to dive into until I started playing Doom. So maybe in the future, but not now. I know The Rock is in it, and that it's goofy AF, but I'm seriously not interested at all at the moment. Street Fighter: The Legend of Chun-Li. It's not a sequel to the OG Street Fighter film, which I already talked about, but it's a reboot that gets a lot of things wrong, so I'm choosing not to talk about it at all. Only noting that Lana Lang from Smallville and Neil McDonough are in it. Hitman and Hitman Agent 47. I want to play these games for the sake of it, because I'm really interested in seeing how they play out, and I'll eventually cover the adaptations because, let's face it, the game sounds like a ton of fun, and these movies may be as well. Prince of Persia: Sands of Time, a fantasy action game adaptation that I'll tackle in the future because I do think I want to play those games in the future as well, and I like Jake Gyllenhaal as an actor, so I guess that's something. Monster Hunter. I know next to nothing about these games, but Paul W.S. Anderson is a fun filmmaker, and Mila Jovovich is incredibly pretty, so maybe I'll watch this one later and check out the games in the future. Assassin's Creed. This one kind of bums me out since the game series is incredibly fun from what I've heard, but I don't think I'm going to be the one who should talk about this movie, at least not at the moment. Tomb Raider. This is a remake I was excited to talk about because it was based primarily on the Tomb Raider reboot, but I'm not going to talk about it simply because I found the last movie just so awful. Borderlands. This movie got awful reviews when it came out, and I'm not sure I want to see it. I wonder what my friend who is a Borderlands fan thinks of it. Take it away, Corey. I'm interested in what you have to say.
The movie disappointed me as soon as the trailer came out. Because how are you going to have Kevin Hart, who sounds nothing like Roland and acts nothing like Roland, play Roland? It makes no sense to me how they couldn't even do the basic character research. And even more stupid than that, why the shit is Claptrap voiced by Jack Black? There is no reason for that. Claptrap is a faceless robot with one of the most iconic character voices in gaming history ever. And you couldn't have put the original voice actor in the goddamn movie. Why are you pulling a goddamn Chris Pratt Mario BS for why? Just to have more star power? Even though it's objectively gonna be lame as hell? And the movie itself has nothing from the games. no soul, no stylization, no humor. It is just completely devoid of anything that made Borderlands Borderlands. You have none of the side characters being present. Like, you see Ellie and Scooter and Moxie for like a half second, I'm pretty sure, during like some kind of celebration thing. When they have some of the most funny dialogue in the games, and they're just left on the sidelines. And for what? Like, they couldn't even do some of the funny one-offs. Like, you're telling me they couldn't have a Face McShooty in the game? It's for why? Borderlands is known for having some of the most iconic characters in gaming history. Literally, one of the most iconic villains in gaming history, Handsome Jack, was just completely gone in favor of some generic-ass CEO who happened to be Tiny Tina's dad. Which, like, why? There's no reason for Tiny Tina to have a dad, much less have the dad be the CEO of the Atlas Corporation. It already breaks the continuity of the games. Please, for the love of God, stop making movie adaptations of video games if you're not going to do the proper research of the games and make sure that your movie makes sense with the style of the game.
Oh. Well, in that case, I'm not touching it. I'm not touching it at all. Okay, wow, that was a lot. So, the next 14 episodes will cover the following movies: the Angry Birds movie, Warcraft, Rampage, Pokemon Detective Pikachu, the Angry Birds movie 2, Sonic the Hedgehog, the Mortal Kombat Legends animated films, the 2021 live-action Mortal Kombat reboots, Uncharted, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Five Nights at Freddy's, Sonic the Hedgehog 3, a Minecraft movie, and the Super Mario Bros. Movie. With all of that in mind, let's dive into the first review by talking about one of the most popular mobile games of all time, Angry Birds. Developed by Finnish game company Rovio, Angry Birds took a simple concept and made it legendary. A group of colorful birds get royally pissed off at a group of green pigs who steal their eggs to cook and eat. Gameplay? Just fling your birds with a slingshot to destroy the structures that the pigs built. Now, despite the fact that the gimmick is the same, each of the birds have distinct personalities and powers. Red, the leader, doesn't usually have powers, but is mature and occasionally paranoid as a leader that each of the birds look up to. Whenever he does have powers, it's usually just a supersonic scream. Chuck is very hyperactive, as suggested by his speed ability. Bomb is carefree and unpredictable, which goes well with his explosive abilities. The Blues, Jim, Jake, and Jay, are identical triplets that split into three, which is probably why they are similar and mischievous in personality. Matilda is caring and nurturing, being very motherly, which probably explains her egg-dropping ability. Terrence is stoic and frightening, explaining his brute strength. Hal is very kind and hard to miss, especially with him being a literal boomerang. Stella is sweet but fierce, so don't let her bubbles fool you. Finally, Bubbles is cheerful and very kind, yet will always blow up when the occasion calls for it. Obviously, there are more birds, but these are the important ones. Of course, their arch nemesis is the dastardly King Smoothcheeks, who's king of the pig army, and far and away the most terrifying pig in any form of media, with the exception of the Praetorian Guards Force. Oh, and just in case you are curious, the Wise and Noble Mighty Eagle is available if you struggle too much. Don't rely on him as too much of a crutch, but know that he will wipe the floor with those snotty snorters. The original game was a smash hit, which led to tons of merchandise, as well as a series of sequels, which gave the birds a taste of the holidays, science fiction, and even Star Wars at one point. As of 2025, the franchise is nowhere near as popular as it once was, but I still certainly respect it almost. The success of the franchise as a mobile legend led to the creation of a series of shorts called Angry Birds Toons, which gave us very fun and cute little adventures featuring the famous Flop.
The success of these led to the official announcement of a movie adaptation in late 2012, around the height of the popularity of the franchise as a whole. It was a huge wonder as to what this mysterious movie would have to offer. What people imagined was anyone's guess. Me personally, I just watched the hilarious parody trailer made by Rooster Teeth, who showed us what an actual bad Angry Birds movie would look like. I honestly thought this trailer was for a real movie when watching it for the first time, and even today I find it absolutely hilarious as an Angry Birds fan. Though if Michael Bay honestly did make an Angry Birds movie, let's be honest, it would probably be so much worse than whatever Rooster Teeth was showing us. Anyways, the movie was handed over to Sony Pictures Animation, who either makes really great animated films or not really great animated films. P.S. I'm never reviewing this piece of garbage ever, so don't ask me. Regardless, the film was released in mid-2016 and received mixed reviews but overwhelming box office success, earning it a sequel 3 years later and a threequel coming sometime soon. However, nearly 10 years later, does this film live up to the hype it once had and the hype that the games have?
Well, I hope you're all ready for this, as today we're taking a look at the 2016 animated video game feature, The Angry Birds Movie.
The Angry Birds movie takes us to an island populated entirely by happy flightless birds. Or almost entirely. In this paradise, Red, a bird with temper problems, voiced by Jason Sudeikis, Speedy Chuck, voiced by Josh Gad, and the volatile Bomb, voiced by Danny McBride, have always been outsiders. When the island is visited by mysterious green piggies, it's up to these unlikely outcasts to figure out what the pigs are up to.
Now, as someone who is a longtime fan of these games, I have to ask the following question. Who the hell is this movie for? You'd think it's for people like me who grew up with the game, but a lot of those kids would have aged up significantly. Take, for example, myself and fellow YouTuber EvanTubeHD. I was born in 2006, and he was born in 2005. We were 3 and 4 years old when the game debuted in 2009. We were 9 and 10 when this film came out. And the popularity of the franchise had long since expired, and the humor is incredibly juvenile in several scenes. You'd think it's for newer fans or younger audiences, but that doesn't check out either, since there are some jokes in there that are more for older kids or even adults in some regards. Long story short, it's not funny, and it doesn't represent the energy the games have. Is it the worst thing I've ever seen? No, far from it. Was it good? I don't think so either. Whatever the case may be, it's time to dig into this film and see what really made it the overwhelming it ended up being.
Let me just say for the record that I don't hate the voice cast chosen for these characters. On the one hand, I'd prefer if the movie didn't rely too much on big-name celebrities, but on the other hand, all of these characters were well cast. Well, most of them. Let's start with my two favorites, Jason Sudeikis as Red, and Bill Hader as King Leonard Mudbeard. Sudeikis brings the irritated side to Red perfectly, and you can hear the frustration in his voice with every line he delivers. I'd prefer if he played into the softer side of Red more, but I haven't seen the sequel yet, so maybe he plays into the softer side in that film. As far as Hader goes, I mean, it's Bill Hader hamming it up, no pun intended, in the recording booth. He's just oodles of fun whenever he's on screen, and he was the perfect actor for this type of character. Now, as for the other characters, Josh Gad as Chuck makes sense, but I don't love how extra he is. I understand that Chuck is supposed to be hyperactive, but Gad plays way too much into that neurotic energy in several scenes. Honestly, an actor like Greg Sipes, or even either Josh Peck and Sean William Scott would have improved this role. Danny McBride plays Bomb with the unsure nature to him, and for the version of Bomb that isn't put together, it works. Maybe in the sequel he's better, but this isn't a bad start. Maya Rudolph is extra as Matilda, but not a bad extra. She's neurotic, but she also plays into the caring, nurturing side pretty well. Sean Penn as Terrence is just hilarious. I mean, he just groans, and that makes him both stoic and enigmatic, just like his game counterpart, yet he also has a softer side to him. It just isn't overplayed. Then you have the other major birds making cameos. Kate McKinnon as Stella is just kinda there, I guess. Smosh as Hal and Bubbles was funny only because I like those two very much. The Blues have a small cameo at the end, but they don't do anything else. And that's about it. And then we have the only casting and characterization I think this movie failed. Peter Dinklage as the Mighty Eagle. Hiring an actor who is capable of comedy and being softer at the same time is great. But the way they wrote this character really pisses me off. You had the perfect opportunity to give us the wise and mysterious Eagle, who's declared a legend, and you gave us hissing in a lake and an egotist. I remember watching the Mighty Eagle reveal trailer and remembering how interesting it was to see that not only do the pigs fear the beast, but even the other birds do. Here, we just get a sad lump who may or may not be drunk. I don't like this at all because none of the jokes in this movie are funny, and Peter Dinklage feels completely wasted in this role as well, since part of his appeal is going into both spectrums. Whatever, maybe he's better in the sequel, but I'll make that judgment once I see it. So yeah, I don't hate the voice cast of this movie, but they certainly could have been so much more. Whatever, it doesn't really matter. How's the animation? Well, I really like it. It certainly feels like Angry Birds in more ways than none. I also really like the redesigns of the birds and pigs. It makes them stand out and helps us distinguish the game and movie birds and pigs from one another. It's not the best looking animated movie I've ever seen, but it certainly looks pretty good. I'd say amazing. The music was composed by Heitor Pereira, who is actually a really solid composer. He did a great job giving his own spins on classic pieces of Angry Bird music, such as the iconic original theme I have blaring in the background, whilst also giving us something new. I wish, however, we got to hear more of it, since most of the movie has a bunch of licensed music. I mean, this is Sony after all. Some song choices I thought were okay, such as On Top of the World, but then some song choices just straight up suck, such as Never Gonna Give You Up, for, obvious reasons. Not to say that the song is bad, though. I just wish they'd let the movie be just a movie, as opposed to having all this licensed garbage going everywhere. Anyways, moving on. Now, I said earlier that I didn't find any of the humor funny. You heard me correctly if you thought I said that. Okay, I kinda lied. There's a grand total of 2 jokes I found funny, and those were Terrence's backstory and Red beating up a sign. No need to hear what I have to say, just find the clips on YouTube or something. Oh, and then there's the no clip. Enough said. As for the rest of the joke, the mime bird saying "oh my god" over and over again got old. The hug bird joke was the same thing. Red's house getting obliterated a million times wasn't funny. I think the jokes in this movie would have been funnier if they didn't repeat several of them several times. That's not to say the rest of the humor is good. The scene of Mighty Eagle pissing into the lake is just awkward and disgusting. Watch the Nostalgia Critics review of this movie if you want an in-depth way of how this scene could have worked. The whole Mighty Eagle song bit was, just hard to watch. Chuck's Quicksilver knockoff was just there, the Shining reference was forced, and do I really have to go on? The movie and this humor is what really kills it for me. As for the scenes like the games, the finale was kinda cool, as we got to see the birds' abilities, such as Matilda's fiery egg, Hal's boomerang, Bubbles blowing up, and so on and so forth, but that's the only scene that's like the game, and it wouldn't have been so average if it weren't for the movie's crappy sense of humor. So yeah, the Angry Birds movie is not good. It's not terrible, but it isn't good. I think it's bad. Not really bad, but bad nonetheless. That being said, this movie is mostly watchable and has some stuff of value within it, but I can't consider it putting it on from beginning to end as often. I give this movie a 4 out of 10.
So that was a lot of time, and admittedly, it's a lot for me just returning to my position. But whatever the case is, things can only continue from here. Tune in next week when I take a look at another video game movie from 2016 based on yet another popular game people play to this very day. Until then, and with that said, my name is Mr. CCS, these are my pets, this is Movie Central, and that, my friends, is a wrap. See you next week. Man, it is good to be back.